Thank you very much. So, it's a great pleasure, it's my great honor to be standing here in front of you on the occasion of the International Youth Day of this year, 2023. You all know the reason why we're here, and this is going to be special as it's a great pleasure, it's my great honor. Yeah, it's going to be special as this year is focusing on the environment, the role of youth in making sure that our planet remains a sustainable planet with good health, which can enable us to keep the work that we do in all the aspects. And as much as AfriYAN is focusing on sexual reproductive health, gender equality, mental health, sustainable development in general, youth empowerment and leadership, we're going to reflect a little bit on how our key thematics interlink or interconnect with the climate change or the resilience of the environment as well. So this is why the topic of today, as you can see in front of you, goes around the gender equality, sexual reproductive health, and climate change. So to some of us, it might be like the first time to understand the interlinkage, the interconnection between those thematics, but we're going to make sure that we disaggregate it into understandable, understandable words, like easy words to help each and everybody to understand it. As you recall, our country has been facing some of the climate crisis recently, and it's important for us as key actors in the development of the country, as well as in sexual reproductive health and gender equality, to understand what we could have done or what some of us has been doing, so what we could have done the best. Okay? So, without further ado, we are going to start with the welcoming remarks from the chairperson of AfriYAN, and next we're going to have like an interactive panel, a very engaging conversation around the topic of today that we choose to be gender equality, sexual reproductive health, and climate change. So I'm going to call upon our chairperson, the chairperson of AfriYAN, who is Ms. Patience Rivadiza. Patience Rivadiza is a gender and sexual reproductive health and rights advocate. She's a young Rwandan woman with passion for youth and women empowerment. She's a blogger of young people, women voices, and poetic stories via, it's going to be hard for me to pronounce the site, but we're going to make sure that we share the site so that we can follow some of her stories. So she has a bachelor's degree in business administration, specialized in finance from the Adventist University of Central Africa in Rwanda, and now pursuing the ACCA offered by Oxford University. In addition, she's a Rise Up leader in Youth Champion Initiative, Rwanda Social Innovator Awardee, Social Impact Incubator Champion 2022, and the early alumni. Patience has worked for different certificates that include disability, sexuality and rights, international women's health and human rights, international organizational management, project management, strategic leadership and management, and global health innovation, and certified gender expert, to mention but a few. Patient is currently the founder and executive director of AfriYAN, or board treasurer of the Rwanda Youth Organization Forum, board advisor of the Rwanda Youth Biodiversity Network, and currently the chairperson of AfriYAN. So this is really huge. This is very huge, and AfriYAN is lucky to be having a chairperson like her, a very young one, with extensive legal knowledge, skills, helping us to advance ourselves forward. Okay? So allow me or help me to welcome her for the welcoming remark for the event of today. Welcome.
It always feels weird for me when I hear people speaking about what I'm doing and what I've done, but it's a great pleasure to hear it from our country director. And good afternoon to every one of you. I'm happy to be standing here on this wonderful day as we celebrate the International Youth Day, which is another theme that brings skills for youth towards a sustainable world. So today we've customized our theme to 3 critical issues that we've been actually responding to, but with an innovation of thinking about climate change, which is gender justice, sexual reproductive health, and climate change. By the time I heard about climate change, I'm just sharing a little bit of how these 3 interconnected issues came back to my mind as people who are responding to SRH and gender issues. We're like, this is not something that is that close to us, or we should be responding to. These are the global issues that the higher political institutions should be responding to, or the national, the country itself at the national level should be responding to. But I came to realize that it's not only them. It will start from us, the young people, who are implementing the small, tiny things and implementing them. For example, we already have some of the organizations that are doing this. We have Cosmoti, who are making usable parts that will be responding to to have an eco-friendly materials to use. That's at the same time responding to sexual reproductive health. Besides that, this is something that has brought us to attention as young people, given the recent disasters that happened, but even also customizing and localizing the climate change issue to our local communities, such as where we find that women and girls are more vulnerable when it comes to natural disasters. For example, let me say it in Rwanda, bahinze, basaruye, cyangwa se ntibasaruye. At the end of the day, a woman and a girl are the most vulnerable people that are going to face the consequences of the weather events that have happened. So it is a great pleasure that we're going to have a detailed conversations with our amazing panelists we're going to have today, and I hope that we are all going to contribute to this conversation and take forward what we're going to take from here. Without further ado, I warmly welcome you to this youth cafe, and please enjoy yourselves. Feel free to contribute, feel free to share your ideas and how we can move this agenda forward. Thank you, and you're welcome to AfriYAN.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ms. Chairperson. And yeah, we're gonna try to keep this short as possible. And allow me to welcome one of the vibrant person, a public figure who is currently working with RBA. Some of you do not know him, or may know him. And I know it's been exciting to see that will be having this event with him. So, and he's known than Mr. Eugene and Angry. Welcome.
Hello. I am planning to actually, what do we call it? Retire. So I've been looking for someone who can say it better than me. And I think he's coming closer. We're still getting candidates. So you're almost number 6 there. We have about 5 more people who are contesting. They're almost there. But it's really great to be here today. And it's really good to also see amazing faces that I'm quite aware of, like Dr. Joseph here. We've had interactions with him on my talk show before. So currently, if you're hearing me and you're seeing me for the first time, my name as always is Eugene. I am a broadcast journalist and been in the industry for about 15, 16 years. And my journey has come a long way. And then when I see young people gathered in a room like this, it is motivational because we are all on that path to succeed. And when we are here in this room to have conversations that are very important like this, it gives me joy. So over and above broadcast journalism, I'm also a mentor. I have a mentorship program called the Anangwe Mentorship Program, just to also give back to young people in terms of coaching and training in those areas. So away from me, I want us now to have this conversation that I was told is supposed to be very engaging, like I always like it. And it's very conversational as well. So it's not going to be about just the people that are coming here. I want all of us to participate. I want us to agree to disagree. So it's not, and if everybody here is agreeing and saying, I want to agree with my sister, I want to agree with my brother, I think we'll pack and go home. Because we are not really talking about the problem that we need to solve. So I want to hear more about what the challenges are, and then we talk about how we can fix those specific challenges. So allow me to bring the panelists on this particular session. I'll start off with Marie-Ange Raissa, who is the Executive Director, Immanuro Girls Initiative. Let's give her a round of applause. I want you to clap the energy of the youthfulness until she gets here. Wonderful. She hasn't gotten here, so keep going, Kie, who's the Executive Director, Community Health Boosters. Let's give him a round of applause. Let's also give him more until he arrives. Ijimana, who's the Executive Director, We Got Your Back, Rwanda. We've got your back, so we'll give him a round of applause until he gets here. Wonderful. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. It's not such a balanced panel,
No, right.
but at least it's not a manel. Manel is when it's just all men on this panel and we all, ooh, I usually avoid manels. I love panels. So thank you for officially making it a panel. Otherwise we'll be having a manel today. So I was taught well with by my mom, so I'm going to start with the way she said, always ladies first, Anangwe. So I'm going to start with you, Marie, just to be able to tell us a bit more about what you guys do, so that if someone is in the room and they're seeing you for the first time, they might be able to plug into the initiatives that you do. Just a quick round of introduction and tell us what you guys do.
Thank you, Eugene. Hi, everyone. I'm Marie-Ange Raissa. I'm the founder and the executive director of the Girls Initiative, which is a young women-led NGO that fosters women empowerment and builds girls' agency through sexual reproductive health and rights, women economic empowerment and leadership, community health promotion and advocacy. Thank you.
Wonderful. Let's give that a round of applause. us a bit about what you guys do at the Community Health Boosters.
Okay, thank you so much. So, I'm an application team, the director of Community Health Boosters. Actually, for Community Health Boosters, it's also a youth-led NGO as well. That strive for the community of health and work young people, but especially meeting them in the user-friendly way, in the way that they are loved most. Because we find that after finding that most of the young people, they are very interested in technology, so we found it better putting more people investing the more effective building digital platforms and even other fun learning tools. So we use digital platforms and fun learning tools and empowering them.
Yeah, wonderful. I don't want Claire to say, why did they clap for her and not for me? Let's clap for him. Anastas, we got your back, Rwanda. We are happy that you got our back. But tell us a bit about this institution, this organization.
Thank you so much. You already preempted me the time you actually say my name last. I don't know why this came up in this way. Because I'm last for it. When someone speaks me of last,
Yeah.
And we got your back. That's our thoughts about. It's actually built on supporting children and youth from underserved communities. We center our activities on sexual reproductive health and rights, and particularly focusing on the education sector because we believe that education is needed to unlock different opportunities. So we got your back.
Right, let's just appreciate it. Now that you mentioned that when you are called to speak last, you feel targeted. So I'm going to make the first question to you. So I just want to understand in your own perspective, especially when we talk about the International Youth Day. Actually, by the way, happy International Youth Day to all of us. We are looking at a focus on a very interesting area, and it is around the green skills for youth. But as we had earlier on, the focus today on this conversation is going to look at gender justice, sexual reproductive health, and climate change. From where you sit, how do this intertwine? How do they correlate? For someone who's wondering, where is this part of this conversation connecting with this other? What would you be able to say?
In simple terms, I would say that we live in environments, and there are all issues regarding to sexual reproductive health and gender equality or inequalities have interconnected similarities to what's happening in the community. So I can say that gender equality, sexual reproductive health, and climate change meets in a way with everything changing the community affects the way women access different opportunities, justice, and girls access information about sexual reproductive health and rights. So generally, that's how I can say these different things meet or interconnect.
Yeah, interesting. How about you, Anastas? Where do you see the connection? Especially when we tie it into, just let's look at the gender justice aspect.
Also for the gender justice aspect, so especially you know that for the climate change is affecting the whole world as well, and you know that the young people and even females and their youth count more, they have the high percentage of the population, and it's affecting more, it's affecting the whole globe. It means that the high percentage of population is being affected as most. So as the young people, they have their high percentage, yes, they have to be connected. We have to sit and find our own solution for those issues affecting ourselves. And even this is a good opportunity for young people to sit together and even have find different innovative solutions that can lead to the adaptation of the issue.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say most affected, but also challenged to be the ones to try seek solutions to those particular challenges. Marvin, what do you think from your perspective in terms of the connectivity of all this that you're talking about today?
Thank you. As women, girls and women's rights advocate, this connects a lot because you know that when climate change issues arise, only girls and women, not only girls and women, but most girls and women are affected with these issues. If, for example, between boys and girls, they have to stop school, a girl must stop school, and they are also prone to violence and exploitation. So it does connect a lot, and which is why I'm happy that this was the main thing for this year as the International Youth Day.
Yeah, and I want to do a follow-up question that will also go around to the rest of the panelists. You know, when I was doing research, what I've had is that we need 131 years to close the gender divide, the global gender gap. 131. How old are you? Will you be there? If we continue with the same pace, how does this make you feel, first of all? What do we need to do to fast track this? We don't have time. 131, we are not sure that we even begin.
I like that you mentioned that we don't have time, but we also have all the time we have in the world to build the change we want to see in those 100 years. So I believe if I'm here and I'm trying to fill the gap that must be filled in 100 years, it is in my responsibility to make sure that I'm doing the right things while I'm still here. So what are you doing as well to make sure we keep the marathon going?
Yeah, right. And again, 131 years. What do we do to fast track this? We are now on the issue of gender justice. For us to close the gender gap, a majority, especially women, are the ones who are not able to access some of the things, including the equal pay. You know, when it comes to all the rights that we see, it's the women who are struggling, and we need 131 years to fix that. We don't have that time.
So thank you so much. For me, I say that I put more effort into technology things, and the technology-based solution is showing high outcome into solving all of these issues, because all things, when it's fully technology and fully online, we ensure that the gender equality is met, because there can be any corruption or other things. If, for example, it's on the part of the employment or other things, we ensure that everyone who have capacity and any ability have to get the equal chance and opportunity, like either female or male.
So technology will be a tool to help us to move fast, right? But when we talk technology, it can be a tool to help bring equality or a level playing field, but it can also be a tool that causes that divide, especially on the aspect of access, knowledge. How do we do this, looking at what you just said?
I think we need to start by educating young minds. I actually wanted to start by phrasing what you said, that we don't have time, but we should speed up, considering the very short period of time we have to actually achieve the goal. But in terms of technology, we need to actually look into a way of empowering young minds, because we are aging. We won't be young forever, and if we don't empower incoming generation, we won't be able to achieve this, or we will not be able to pass on this kind of a struggle we are embarking on to next generation. So I feel like in regard to technology, we need to start educating young people about how to use technology to responding to climate adaptation and resilience.
We need to start. When? What's stopping us from starting?
I think we have already started.
We have started.
Yes.
So we need to accelerate, right?
Yeah.
So make me understand the role of CSOs, the role of NGOs, the role of youth-led organizations. What role do you think they would be able to play to be able to fast track the issues to do with gender justice, sexual reproductive health? And on sexual reproductive health, we're talking about the knowledge levels on what is available. And of course the issue about access and fight stigma, because I know many of us, when we want to go to buy some sexual reproductive health products, I see smiles in the room. I think I don't need to finish the story.
Thank you, Eugene. Well, I would say the role of CSOs and especially youth is first of all to be able to understand how climate change affects gender equality and SRHR. Let's say, for example, if we have extreme events where hospitals are being affected by the climate change issues, as you mentioned, the young people will not be able to access contraception or let's say safe abortion services and other SRHR services. So the role of all the CSOs here is that we need to make sure that not only we are focusing on sexual reproductive health and rights, but we are also engaging in the insurance of climate change and also bringing awareness. Awareness raising is key because, as we mentioned earlier, we tend not to think about the connection, but everything is connected with climate change. So the role of CSOs, especially young people, is to make sure to raise awareness on climate change issues and also engage in climate justice and also advocate for climate change issues. Let's say, for example, if there is an issue in your community that you know it's a huge issue, don't let it fall down for the whole world to see that it's an issue. You can be the one to advocate for it. I believe that's also a role you can do as a young person. And I will also mention food insecurity, because we tend to think that food insecurity is not part of the climate change issues. But food insecurity, we know that it's the most issue that affects girls and women because they tend to engage themselves in risky sexual intercourse because they want to have food on the table and also money. So it is in our duties, young people and CSOs, to make sure that we raise awareness on climate change issues, we advocate for climate change issues, and also advocate for sustainable agriculture, because you can see everyone wants to live in the city. Everyone is building houses here and there, but how about we think about agriculture as well as CSOs? I applaud CSOs that are really focusing on agriculture because they are doing most of the things us who are into SRHR are not doing, but kind of connect for a better future. I would also say, let's sustain our forests. Yes, let's sustain our forests. I love that the fact that our country has the one tree, what's the term? I don't remember. The one tree where you need to cut a tree and also make sure you have grow another tree. Cut one plant. Yes, I love that because this is also one of the ways to make sure that not only the CSOs are involved in this, but all of us are involved in this from an individual level. And if we can sustain the climate change, trust me, we are sustaining the sexual reproductive health and rights for all the people. Because we need to also think about the people with disabilities and the issues that comes with climate change.
I like the fact that you use the buzzword sustainable and sustainability, because sometimes we do things that are not sustainable. And thank you for that. And I want to bring in Anna on this because she mentions, and by the way, how many have you cut and how many have you planted?
I planted more, I didn't cut.
Let's appreciate it, man. Wonderful. Yeah, so let's talk a bit about technology, because that's actually your playground, that's your play area, that's where you feel, you know, like a fish in the pond. What are the challenges of CSOs, youth-led organizations, from uptaking some of the solutions that you're coming up? Because there's that I hear a lot in many conversations that I am involved in. People say we have the products, but the uptake is very little. I mean, we have the potential solution, but they are not really taking it up. Where is usually the gap? Where does the gap come from?
So for the gap, you know, the smartphone, even the coverage for the for the smartphone user, it's a good number, but not yet a good number. And for the even, especially when we go into a community, we see that especially for the women, we see that they are not that more interested more in using this, and even familiar using the digital platforms and even this platform. But when they get empowered, you see that everyone is interested in technology, because even when you see those young, for example, for those children even around 1 or even 2 years old, you see that when they see smartphone, they want to use it, they want to go into different apps. We are seeing many adolescents, even those children who knows to use those devices better than their parents. It's the main challenge. You see that those elder people, they didn't have the opportunity to be growing up in the environment familiar with using these digital devices. And even on about those with different products, you see that many young people, they have many ideas, they put more effort into developing different platforms, but when it comes to scaling up those platforms into across the country and even across the community, you see that they meet the barrier of the financial access, so that they can allow those ideas into the different community. Because for example, like ours, there is the platform that we developed. It's named YAF. It's Youth and Adolescent Health. We developed it and even piloted in the community, and even with the research that was conducted by National Health Institute for all of the apps that are being used in low and middle income countries for the sexual and reproductive health. It was third among best 8 apps out of around 2,000 apps for the SRH, and it shows that it can be even used across the country and even across the country. But when you see the investment into those platforms, you see that it is still very low.
So that's where the gap is. And what he's trying to say is that in households we have young people who are so interested in smartphones and the apps, and the older generation might not be. But we've seen some of the young people using the smartphones and the apps for purposes that probably he feels should not be the purpose. We are now taking our Kechuru to Ashirakuri TikTok, Jirangotwone likes. In that space, we should be taking them or using those smartphones to go into apps that are advancing the conversation that we're having. That's what we're trying to say. I think they've had. I know some of them. I've seen some on your TikTok. I've seen some things they're doing. But back to this question on the involvement of young people, because that's where I'm trying to plug in this point that I'm bringing. How do you ensure that young people understand their role, and the importance and the potential that they hold in advocating for equal rights as far as gender equality issues and the aspects of how climate change affects them is concerned? The role of young people, how do they get to understand that they actually have a key role?
I think so much in your introduction you mentioned that you do mention.
Yes.
I believe that through mentorship, young people can get to know what their responsibilities are towards a particular thing. And when it comes to climate resilience and of course linking it with the sexual reproductive health and gender equality, young people should be given mentorship and capacity building, because we find a lot of young people with the energies, commitment, but the way they do things, they don't understand the way they're supposed to be actually done. So for that to make young people be aware of what their responsibilities are and how they can play a key role in going towards this area, they should be given space to making sure that whatever they are presenting is really accurate. Where we see that they lack additional support, we can be a backup. I mean, the senior citizens didn't want to mention all the generation because I sometimes face backlash around that. So young people should be committed first, but also we should establish, let's say, effective mechanism to be giving them capacity building, mentorship, and of course the resources, because being committed, having time and energy, without
Resources is not enough. Yeah. Rice, I want to ask you, especially if you transition into the issue or the topic or subject of sexual reproductive health, the aspect of stigma is still something that we continue to see. A young man walks into a pharmacy and they want to buy a packet of condoms, and they have to rotate around as if it's an helicopter that wants to land, because there are people in that pharmacy and they are scared of going in to ask that or they say, now I want that water, because they are scared of who's in that particular space. Once everybody is gone, that's when they can go in. What do we need to do to ensure that people don't feel stigmatized to whatever kind of sexual reproductive health product they want to get or service they want?
Thank you for that. I would say raising awareness, because first of all, the issue is culture and social norms, because we know that even for our culture, girls and women are considered as timawurugo, as they say. You don't have to be out there, you don't have to speak loud, you don't have to speak when men are speaking, but I'm here, hello. You don't have to act in a way that people might question you. You need to always be at the back in your shell. This is what we have been raised to be, and it has been for years. So challenging that might be a little bit hard, but this is why we are here having this conversation, to see how we can tackle this issue. It's an issue that we need to tackle from scratch, and from scratch I mean by educating the parents, older generations, and making them understand the concept of understanding that the current generation is not their generation, and also that what used to work for them is not, currently it's not possible to use the same strategy as they used to. So raising awareness on bodily autonomy, especially for girls, young girls, and building their agency around their body. If it's a yes, they want to have sex, it's a yes. If it's a no, train them how to say no, and we need to start from the parents to train their kids, and also the kids to have that information for them to make informative decisions. But you will find that parents and teachers are kind of fighting to be able to provide information to their children. The parents will say, no, at school we will learn this. And the teacher will assume that it's within the parent's role to be able to teach the child. So you will see that it's a fight that we are trying to currently tackle. And what I can say is train the service providers, raising awareness among them, and for them to be able to create a safe space for their customers, because you will see that they are also the first one to judge the customers, especially girls and women. If you go to buy a condom and you are a man, you will be considered as someone who is very mature, very big, the macho man. But if you go to buy a condom as a girl, you will be considered as a prostitute. And these are the things we need to challenge, especially for the service providers. They need to have this mindset where they say, oh, I'm here doing my job. Other than that, I don't care, but I'm here doing my job. So it's in my duty to create a safe space for all the customers and for all the genders, regardless. And by here, I'm also speaking about the people with disabilities, because we have encountered with different testimonies where people with disabilities are neglected by the service providers because they think they are not allowed to have sexual intercourse or sexual reproductive health and rights is not for them. So raising awareness for the service providers, for the parents, and also teachers and the local leaders to be able to create safe space for the children and also for the young people, I believe we will be able to tackle this issue. But if we keep on going backward and judge, and by the way, we judge ourselves among us youth. So I believe it's time by me and all of you to be able to create that safe space for everyone. Because if Eugene, you create a safe space for me, I will be able to create a safe space for Anake.
Yeah.
So it's a marathon that we need to
work on
collectively.
Yeah, Anake, I know you also want to jump in, but Anake, before I come to you, I want to understand from what she says that parents have a role to play, or the people we live with at home have a role to play. She said they need to be made aware that the way they think or have been thinking is no longer the same way that young people today are thinking. How do I do this? How do I say this without being told to go get my own house and leave the house? You live in my house. You want me to? How do young people, like today, the young people in this room who stay at home with their parents and they want to do what she just said, how do they do it without being seen as you are being defiant, you're being arrogant, and what you're telling me doesn't make sense? My house, my rules.
What I can say on the part of the parents, some of the parents we have seen that some of them they don't even have those accurate information that they can discuss with their children. You know, most of them they are somewhat not educated, and even those who are not educated, they belong to some religious whose believe that maybe they are not allowed to discuss on those sexual and reproductive health matters. But even they have to understand that with the current statistics, you see that most of the Christian, they are above 90 something.
Yeah.
And even those teenage pregnancies, they are from those adolescents, from those people who are Christian, and even those who are in choirs and those from pastors. So they have to understand that it's their responsibility. Otherwise, they might end up into having those young people rather than being opportunity for the country.
Yeah.
They might end up being liability for the country. Yeah. So they have to understand that they have to discuss with their children, because when they don't discuss with them, those young people, they end up consuming those information from peers and other people. They have to understand that it's their responsibility. And even for those young people, they might start conversation slowly, because we also have identified some challenge of those, maybe those young people who go in training of SRH, and when they come home, they start discussing maybe with their parents or others. They only want to discuss maybe about sex or other things. And their parents maybe think that about sexual and reproductive health and right, it's only about sex or doing sex. While like CSC has many components. There is part of the communication, there is part of the gender law, there is part of life skills. There are a lot of things in sexual and reproductive health. So they have to understand that it's not about only discussing about sex, but discussing how they can even have good friends, how they can with their future, how they can communicate when the public, etc.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Anastasia.
Yeah, I think here I first wanted to recall what Maisa said. Let me ask the question: how many of us here have bought a condom?
How many have bought a condom?
How many of us have bought a condom from a pharmacy, a boutique, or how many of us? How many?
3.
You see, so I feel like I have already provided the answer.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the stigma,
Yeah.
it starts from the nurse.
Yeah.
I think like I'm shy to talk about or going to a pharmacy, buy a condom, because I'll be stigmatized that I am going to have sex. Something considered to be illegal. especially for these senior citizens, when they see you buying a condom from the pharmacy, they say like, these young men.
Yeah.
Ha.
Of today.
So and we are facing these challenges, and this makes us feel like really not comfortable, because whatever we try to do in our people, parents, we always see it as unwelcome behavior, just social behavior. So we need to start educating parents and ourselves. I can notice it from here that you are all shy.
Yeah.
And I know some, like 90% have got condom for
Yeah.
your education purpose. Who has never prayed this karere? And we used to just be making karere in condom, right? I remember when I once went to a pharmacy right here. It's like last year, not even far.
Yeah.
And then I asked it loudly, you have condoms?
Yeah.
A mom beside me looked at me like,
Yeah.
so I was planning to go to school because we had a program that was engaging young people on sexual pleasure and how they can have sex but not face associated diseases like pregnancy, STIs, and all that. And then the way we can approach this is actually initiating conversations between parents and their children. And I feel like AfriYAN can start with bringing parents here and probably with their children come openly talk about why it's important for them to actually have discussions around sexual reproductive health and rights, and openly sharing that sex is something normal. I can feel that I want to have sex. The only problem comes when I have unprotected sex and I get pregnant as a girl or impregnate a girl. So, in a nutshell, we need to actually start championing this and voicing this effort politely, of course, because conservative community we live in, and we have to change. And once we are approaching or initiating conversations like that, we end up messing it up rather than making a solution. So I feel like we can start with a way of looking into how we can have conversations with parents, and of course, making sure that these pharmacy people don't make us feel stigmatized when we go to buy condoms. Even there is a way you can see someone and you know exactly that he's looking for condom, looking into his or her eyes. Because the way we feel or the way we look like when we go to a pharmacy looking for such contraceptive support looks really different. And if we can do awareness, this can even start by you or someone who is a public figure.
It's hard
invite
for us
parents
to buy condoms.
I'm saying that you can invite parents to a radio talk show with children and start campaign.
Right. I hear you. Wonderful. Let me now open the floor. If you have any questions, feedback, comments, any testimonies, how you handle some of these things, the stigma, what you think needs to be done to raise more awareness. It is our time as young people. What do we need to do? Talk to us. Just raise your hand up and we'll be able to get a chance to add any comment that probably you'd like to add on from what you've heard from the speakers who have done an amazing job so far. Yes, go ahead. Feel free.
Thank you. The thing I wanted to comment on, when you talked about young people who still live with their parents, no one will ask how many of us are still at home, but rather ask how many of us who bought condom from the pharmacy. So we need to talk about everything, not only something which is just for that something that you're worried of, but let's be friendly in all ways. If you want to know, have you take your lunch? Did you have a dinner? What do you want for tonight? Like some friendly ways to talk about everything. Not only just say, you're going to do sex, you're going to have sex, but also think that he still or she still lives at home. Why? What can we help you? Things like that. Just we don't have, as youth, we need if our parents or other grown-up friends or people you have met, just about everything, not only being interested in sexual reproductive health.
Yeah. May I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you stay with your parents?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you engage them on subjects that are considered taboo?
Okay. I'll speak in two ways. On my side, as Sandrine, I act like an angel. I don't know anything. But when it comes to my career, I'm like, hey, people came to the hospital asking for this and this. Yeah, we have these issues. We don't have to talk about it. Yeah, and some parents don't have to blame their girls or boys. But when it comes on my side, I'm like, I can't do that. I don't know it. I don't have any idea about it. Yeah, so sometimes we are not free.
We are not free.
Yeah.
What do we need to do to become free? Just in one line.
I can't say right now what you can do. Some progressive. You can start by me. Maybe if I become a mom, I'll try. Maybe you can join your mentorship. Then you can tell us how you are raising others.
Thank you. Let's give a round of applause. Anyone else? That was a good point. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, the gentleman at the back.
Thank you so much for the good conversation. I enjoyed this to celebrate the International Day of Youth. The big man said, who can we afford come along to buy a condom? I was afraid because no one raised their hand, but actually I thought in a cultural perspective, we have a thing called intergenerational conflicts. Like people, our father, our mothers, we don't understand the same regarding to the culture because the way we grow is we are trying to fix the behavior change toward adopting some of the mechanisms that can help us to do sexual reproductive health, do gender equality. So which is hard when it comes to integrating those approaches within the country context or the culture context. So I think they are one thing to see behavior change. How are we addressing this? Another thing is about research. So this approach has been implemented in several countries in Western cultures, and they are trying to integrate or to contextualize within one context. Is it working? Their approach, is it working? So I think there is a need of research to address, to see, maybe doing baseline survey as other project implementation can do. So thinking loud, that's the perspective. But I have one question to the panelists. I see there are very big men and women representing different organizations. When we talk about digitalizing this approach or this initiative, there is pros and cons. How do you address that? Let me say, when I say sexual reproductive health, the first issue is about accessibility. Like I can't go to the shop and buy a condom. That's one. But for accessibility, you can think how you can get nearby your home, maybe packed in something or delivered. But in delivering also, there is an additional cost, so which is hindering the accessibility as well. So the one thing is, how can we do that as AfriYAN, as youth-led organization that is here? The second is, how do you address the pros and cons, that go by digitizing those services?
Thank you very much. Let's also appreciate it. You'll come on the round for the closing, but you can be able to respond to that, the pros and cons, if you're talking about digitizing this service. I think we can just do it right away, and like you're the one within the tech space, and this that we're talking about, the pros and cons that are involved in, just in one line. How do we deal with that?
Thank you so much. Starting on the first question, related on the part of the accessibility, you see that there are even other organizations have been different approach on how those products can be delivered, like Kasha and even other platforming testing phase like Cyber Rwanda, the SFF, we are testing on how those young people maybe they might be having stigma and deliver and then test those other things online. Yeah. And on the front, you see that still there's more effort that need to be put on so that you can reach at that level of where everyone can have access to the information and even to the services. And even people also have to understand that even those technology solutions, they have the ability to lead to desired outcome, because you see that digital technology, they don't have end in themselves. You see that if they are used well and invest more, they can lead to the health and well-being of the.
So for example, the apps can take away the dealing with that pharmacist to look at you with those eyes. So at least if you can order from an app, you're not looking or being looked at by anyone.
Yeah, and even on the part of the discussion, for example, in our platform, we have put a discussion forum where they can discuss freely and sexual and reproductive health, but through anonymous way. And even on the chat, you see that sometimes they might have questions. We recently, when we were in the quarterly meeting with teachers, because we usually work with the school health clubs, but we used to meet challenge of teachers. Maybe after 3 months, we used to meet after 3 months, and they were bringing those many questions that were asked by their students in health clubs, but they were not able to answer the question. And imagine waiting for 3 months to get the answer to give to their students. But we see that through this digital platform, when they meet with those questions, they go into the chat and then ask questions. Our nurses, they provide answer directly, and they can even give those answers to their students, and even for the parents. And you see that it's a digital platform, it's among the good things that can solve those issues of stigma, accessibility, and
Right. I understand. So do you think we'll be in a space one day where we don't have to go anonymous when engaging in such platforms, and you're just free? Hey, I have this question. I am Eugene and I'm okay with asking this question without putting a name that is not mine.
Yeah, it will take us a lot more time, but we will reach there.
We'll get there.
I don't know if you have noticed that when I was asking about whether anyone of us has bought a condom, at the end I put it like, I bought a condom for my education purpose. Why did I have to actually push that from me? But it was like, I feel like if I don't make clear explanation why I bought a condom, I'm going to be having some critical, whatever they say stars has been engaging into this. So I feel like we get a time to actually fully talk about this, but we need to put a lot more effort considering how we can make all information digitalized. Like Anacret has started doing this, but again, looking into how we are socializing ourselves with different social media platforms. We need also to start campaigns, but again, monitoring them, especially young people, on how to use these platforms, because by the end of the day, they happen to be using the social media platforms, but in a conducive way, not necessarily actually learning the supportive information to this matter, but obsessively consuming this toxic information which end up putting them in trouble. So I guess we'll reach there, but we need what I can call PPYP, public-private partnership, because young people are the ones to feel much more vulnerable when it comes to these influence. So if we get young people on the board and bring in public institutions, private ones, and of course, bridging the gap between the young generation and the older generation, will be able to create safe spaces in the end, which can allow us openly to talk about this and share accurate information.
Right. Wonderful. Wonderful. One burning question, just one, and then we come to the. Yes, go ahead.
Sonelini. I'm from the stewardship generation. My question is about climate change. The first question, you have been saying about climate change, but means a lot. So, as a youth, what do you advise us to do in practical to avoid those climate change? Particularly in Rwanda, what do we do? And the second question, what is, according to your research, what is a high challenge we meet in Rwanda for climate change? And you can advise us to do as a team just to avoid those things for changing makers and to avoid those for environment resilience.
Right. Thank you very much. Let's appreciate her, please. Thank you very much. Can I squeeze in one more? Is there anyone more that is buying? I mean, the gentleman, we are talking about balancing. So you go ahead.
Thank you so much for this wonderful discussion.
Yeah.
For me, I'm talking as Richard from Medical Letters for Trace. So I just want to ask a question about this digital era.
Yeah.
As they have said, today's world is more advanced than technology. So we are going to use the technology more than ever. And I would like to ask one of our panelists. So we see that today's what we call technology addiction is on the rise. As many people are using the technology, maybe many of them are not using for the purpose of it. So what can be the mitigation or interventions to be used for tackling that kind of technological addiction?
Okay.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. So we'll start with you, Anastas, as we come this way. You can respond, but also give us your parting shot, because we remarks where do we go from here? We've talked, but how do we walk the talk? Let's go.
Okay. My sister raised very good points about the advice we can provide, particularly to young people. The first advice is being yourself accountable to this, because climate change is all about what we see within our community. Start grabbing these plastic bags and dump them in the dustbin. That would be a huge contribution. Again, we need to actually start looking this into a partnership where you see things challenging you. You don't have to actually stress yourself doing what you cannot do. Seek support from senior citizens or other people who think like they can be support to you. The challenge comes in when young people are trying to do things, but they don't have like a supportive system or like a backup plan when they fail to actually reach the goal. Let's say I have decided today that I'll be planting 30 trees throughout this year, but I don't even know where I'm getting seedlings. So this comes a challenge when young people try to access some of these, good initiatives, but they don't have someone to support them.
Yeah.
So the way to address this is again tapping into partnership and support from Eugene, from AfriYAN and the other institutions that can help us achieve our goal. Richard, can you remind me the question?
I was just asking about what can be intervention for preventing this kind of technology addiction, especially young people, so that it can be like a sustainable way to have future young people who are more powerful.
Got it. Actually, it's even becoming worse every day.
Yeah.
Addiction, I can say, even myself being addicted to the use of social media. Like when I go home, I scroll around, I see what's happening on Instagram. The only way to actually prevent that kind of addiction is creating other things that can get you this. Maybe read book, interact with others, which is a bit hard because even social media is distancing ourselves from friends. So the way we can tackle that is actually discipline ourselves, making sure that I have this guideline. I'm not going to be using the social media when I'm not getting useful information.
Yeah.
So it's challenging, maybe senior citizens will help us. My last comment as I close, I'll be saying that climate change, sexual reproductive health, and gender equality, inequality and disparities needs a collective effort. Because when we look at how women and girls are affected differently by climate changes, adding to their existing challenges when it comes to equal power, there is a sort of need to tap into a way we can actually synergy our efforts and making sure that in times of disasters and uncertainties, girls and women have support, and making sure that the lives of women and girls are assured, to making sure that they are not preoccupied by household activities. And when it comes to accessing resources, scarcity of resources may even hamper their access to rights as a result of climate change. So I can feel that this is a good start way that we are coming here as young people, voice up this, and I recommend that AfriYAN keeps doing this, bringing young people on board to keep discussing the ways they can, or we can collectively do this. I think this is a starting point, together we will make it.
Right, thank you so much. Anna, what about you?
Thank you so much. Starting from the question from Richard, he mentioned about the addiction with the social medias and even on the other app. And when you see those educative apps, you see that the usage is still low. And the challenge, you see that most of the educative platforms, you see that they are, most of them not friendly. They are no thing that can attract those young people, because young people, most of those young people that you want to educate, they are not even aware that they need those information. So to meet them well and even have them on those platforms, we also need to add some attractive things that can attract them to use the app, so that they can enjoy using the app and even have the knowledge and information as well. And also ask about what can we do to adapt to the climate change. You see that currently in Rwanda there are even more opportunity for young people with the different funding, especially for those doing business. You see that in different funding opportunity for entrepreneurs, you see that those with some innovative idea on with the intervention in climate change, you see that they are being given priority for the funding, for the support. I've seen that maybe Solange was not able to be here, but you see that with many youth, you see that there are many youth connect. There is another opportunity that's coming, Abuka, for the many youth. They support around about 100 projects per year. They give them like 3,000 USD for implementing some projects. You see that those young people, different innovative projects, when they add some component of climate change, you see that it starts being and my message, starting on even linking this climate change with these sexual and reproductive health issues, you see that with current research, you see that especially for the HIV part, you see that when climate crisis is increasing, like drought, you see that many young guys meet with the challenge of food insecurity, and this lead to the increase of transactional sex.
Yeah.
And we are even seeing the high increase of the HIV among young female, and maybe it can even be linked to those insecurity for the food, for the economic factors. So it's our responsibility as young people, and even for us as part of those youth trade organization. I remember recently I was doing the discussion with our partner for the app. They always request how can these things of sexual and reproductive health, mental health, how can we adapt it and even add part of how we can respond to the climate change. We have to start thinking on how all our intervention, we can even add a component of how we can adapt the climate change, and even responding to those climate change.
So we make climate change cross-cutting factor in the solution to try to provide. Wonderful. Marie-Ange, you have the last word, just like you had the first word.
Thank you. I will start by responding my sister. I just think it needs to start by you, by yourself, by sustaining the climate change. Start small at your home. You know we have in Rwanda that's you making sure you are sustaining the part of where food insecurity is an issue. So I believe it can start by you, by me, and by all of us, because at the end of the day, it will affect me and you. And it must be your responsibility to make sure that at least where you are protecting your pests. And imagine if all of us are protecting our pests, we will be protecting the entire world. So I believe it starts with you and me. And regarding my brother's question, I think the addiction, I no longer call it the addiction because many people are making money on social media. Like people are making tons, big money. So for me, I would say we need to raise awareness among youth and all the people, not only youth, about having goals in life. We need to set goals, and if your goal aligns with you spending 24/7 on the social media, then fine. If they are bringing food on the table, it's cool. But if you know that your goals and mission and vision are not aligned with that, then you know it is within your responsibility to make sure that you discipline yourself. And as all of us here, we are youth-led founders, or let's say we have different positions. It is in our duties to make sure our peers also have their goals set and they are focusing on their goals, because if your goals are not set on social media, maybe Tito knows what I'm talking about. I can see he's with his phone. I know he's making money off of that phone. So I wouldn't say he's addicted. So if your goals are not aligned with that, you need to discipline yourself.
Yeah.
And what I can say as I close, as I mentioned, it starts by you and me to make sure the issues will not affect us in the future, because what we do now determines the type of future we'll be having in the future. And climate change is a thing. We might not see it here in Rwanda as it is, but it's a huge issue, and if you speak with experts in this area, they will tell you things and you will not sleep for the night. So please, let's make sure we do the right thing, and it's now. So don't save it for tomorrow or after tomorrow, because if you save it for after tomorrow, it will kill you in the future, or the future generation, and we don't want that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So we should be each other's support system. Youth for youth. Let us stand by each other. Let us be people who are able to support each other in different ways. Can we give a round of applause to my friend? It felt like it was the summit, the talk show I have on RBA every Wednesday. And I think we should actualize that. We need to have them on the summit on RBA so that now we amplify this conversation to the rest of the world, not just this whole. Right. So thank you so much. I want to appreciate the organizers. AfriYAN, you guys are doing an amazing job, and I appreciate you involving me in this. And I think if you call me, I'll come back. If you don't call me, I'll force myself. So thank you so much, and appreciating all of you. As always, my name is Eugene. Let's appreciate it one more time as we go.
Thank you.
So wonderful. Another round of applause to the moderator, the speakers, and all of you who have interacted, gave insights. So this is really interesting, and as some of my takeaways to make like this interesting panel more sticking into our heads and minds is into two ways. As far as we want or do not want it, so there are two things. The climate changes are affecting us, and we need to act now. Okay? There are two ways for us as a youth organization under AfriYAN to act. One of them is dealing with the consequences of climate change. How do we deal with them? Is knowing how do we respond through our interventions by adapting with the climate change crisis. So what do we do when there are crises? What do we do when there are some of the young people, adolescents, who are getting difficulties to access information services when they are into crisis? You know the situation that have been happening into the northern province, western province, where a lot of families lost their houses, the hospitals, the health centers weren't functioning. So what did we have to do that time? So it's up to us to know what to do when we into those situations, or those similar situations into the other side of the country. So, but it's not only that. There is something that we need to do to prevent the crisis from happening. So, we are dealing with sexual reproductive health, gender equality, youth, our empowerment and the leadership, capacity, skills, and so on. The human rights, sustainable development in general. But again, there is something that we need to do, because at the end of the day, we need an enabling environment. We need a world which is providing us with a healthy space where we can operate from. So it's not a responsibility of another person, only people into environment. I know in AfriYAN we do green. They are dealing with environment, but it's a responsibility for each and every youth-led organization under AfriYAN to know that there is something that we need to do about sustaining our environment to make our world more resilient. So that makes our work more easier, because we don't want to respond to multiple crises. So that's why I say that we have two ways. Yes, we have to respond to the needs that are there during the crisis with the changes of the climate. But again, we need to prevent from those crises to happen. So those are the two ways that I feel like AfriYAN should be having in its philosophy, in its mandate, to ensure that we contribute to a more sustainable world. You can see one hand up. It wasn't still a continuation of the panel, but let's keep it more interactive. Yeah, the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks very much, Lindley. Great to be here. My name is. Okay, thank you very much. My name is Bell Neil, and I'm certified youth skills trainer with the British Trust International, and I met the team last week. I also work with the United Nations with the International Foundation, but I wanted to pose a question to Council you, because in my training, and I spent nearly a year, 12 months teaching young people, and we were talking about being the change that we want to see. Now, in 2050, nearly 1.5 billion people on African continent will be youths. It's mind-blowing because it's like the whole population right now, so would be a youth. We're talking about Liberia, like 60% of young people are drug addicts. I don't want to talk about Rwandan context because nearly like 14–15% are adolescent unwanted pregnancies, and we want to be the change. And I'm talking, okay, I will be myself a different. But the change we want to see is not maybe me, maybe I wanted to have opportunity to really understand what you mean, be the change you want to see. Maybe a little bit of introduction. I'm the co-founder of Dialogue Plus. We also do skills training, basically in research because of needs of dialogue. And we are embarking on making the research industry a little bit less male adult dominated industry. And I'm also director of research and innovation and extension for AfriYAN Rwanda. So a lot of people know it. And I think talking about the United Nations, we forgot to give credit to Anastas because recently he earned the top fan badge for the United Nations Most Engaged Fellow. So we need to clap for Anastas. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Yeah, this is really amazing, and it's actually a good opportunity to be for this specific event. This is a networking event, helping each other to learn from, in between us, how we can make things happen. So I know we have like different expertise, bland skills, and we can just harness that within our network, learning from each other. Most of the time when I see like some of the amazing people, young people being very young, it brings joy to me that our country is in good hands. There is like one time seeing the country loading out the campaign of Tunueles just because like some of the young people are going on the other side, negative side, to see how we can serve them. But again, when you are making a post, producing something to contribute on a campaign, to see how you can serve those ones, and then at the same time come into a different platform like this one where you can find you, Anastas, Anakre, I can see Sarah sitting together, our chairperson. This is energy that is coming to sustain our country. And you have mentioned a lot about you. You are amazing. Anastas is amazing. Anakre, our chairperson, and all of you. But on this occasion, allow me to present to you like one of the country's shining stars within our network, AfriYAN, and now the new West Mandela Washington Fellow, none other than Maria Lysa. I think she forgot to mention that. Did you?
I haven't updated.
Please realize so that we can clap for you. That's yeah, it's a very huge milestone. You've been in the US for 6 weeks, and I believe you've learned a lot.
I'm here to change things.
Yes, she's already one of the change makers within the network of AfriYAN and even beyond. My colleagues can testify it. But again, given the other milestones that she has achieved, I believe our network is also in good hands. And beyond that, our country is in good hands. So, allow me to send or to convey to you the deepest what will I say, apologies from our DG of Youth Empowerment at the Ministry of Youth, who couldn't be here given the ongoing national celebration of the International Youth Day. So she couldn't be able to be with us, but she's following us she's following us live. So you need to understand that they are together with us. A few days ago, the minister was here. He made like very commendable commitment to keep supporting youth, and so this is a sign that shows that we are not alone on this journey. We have our ministry on board, supporting us, pushing us to do amazing things. We have our country, the government of Rwanda, which is really supportive to young people, and on the top of all, we have the amazing president on the go. So this is another thing that we have that we need to be using. So our collective effort, our diversity into our youth-led organizations, and the change makers outside. Tito is here, the social media influencers, that we need to work together to see how we can make sustainable change. This is a time to rise and shine and change our country, the region, and the globe in general. So, we never do that alone. We never do that just with our own capacity. But as far as you know that AfriYAN is here for capacity building, our different capacity building, based on our needs, we also need some of the people pushing us to do great, to make great things. So when you look on the journey made by AfriYAN since like a few years ago up to now, we couldn't do it without the support of some of the great people, mentors, supporters. So, and today we are blessed to be having Dr. Joseph Rwanda. He's always young. He's always young. He's always a member of AfriYAN and even other top youth platforms in Rwanda. And I know, like you've been mentioning, some of the opportunities given to young people. A few hours ago, they were providing grants to some of the innovations of young people, initiative of young people, in line with the celebration of the International Youth Day. So, he didn't sleep today, he didn't sit, he didn't do it. He didn't grab like even probably something to eat because he's been with young people and he's ending the day with young youth today. So the floor is yours as we close our event and we dive into a networking cocktail outside here. So, welcome and thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Yvonne. He has just said that I'm young, I'm youth. I think the day I was taught to be in youth, it's the day when my joints will communicate that you can't run, you can't walk. But as long as I'm still, as long as the joints are not yet complicated, then I'm youth. Yeah, so it's a pleasure to be with you today. One, I would say that the youth today, you are charged because during our days, we never had this opportunity. Maybe but we had seniors like the Professor Mascara, the former vice rector, who helped us during those days. But we never had such forums which could enlighten us the way it might be. So what I would say that it's your time. You need to exploit the opportunities so that you go beyond what you never had or maybe achieved. Yeah, so when it comes to what I can say, I had discussion from the panel. I would say that each generation has its own challenges. 2 days back, I celebrated 55 years, so my son, I think my son is 14. So last month, he's in working school. I think I knows it in school. So he called me, so whenever he makes a mistake, he calls me because he knows the teachers are going to go to. So this time, kept going. So I reached out to the metro, so they called me. So do you know what he was telling me? Like that. I want to get a girlfriend. So I spent like 60 seconds without responding. So those 60 seconds took me back during our time. There is no girl I ever took home. Even the one I married, I took her home when my mother was sad. And then usually it means usawa saini changu anza kwa mimi. No, I was still traditional. And that's something I never question. So I took 60 seconds thinking of what to respond to. So I said, Josh, you know what? Yeah, that's good, but you know, when you have a girlfriend, girlfriends need gifts. And you have no money. So be patient so that you get 18, you reach 18 years, and you get a job, and you'll be able to buy flowers for her. So, having a girlfriend is right. Maybe I started having night dreams, or what dreams, I don't know. So, all of us, we are not angels. When you have a girlfriend or boyfriend, you know what comes after some few moments. So, I think with the current generation, people we need to be open, we need to discuss, we need to share information, we need this business of saying that we are safe, we are what, even you yourself, what you're saying here, you're not honest with yourself. So, because when you see the teenager pregnancies, the teen pregnancies that we are seeing, that means that young people have sex. It's not big men defining women, it's young people themselves sleeping around without using condoms. So we need now to be honest with ourselves. I was talking to parents, you know what? These people are lying. Because when I go out, I'm so energetic when I try to go to club with. And when I see you young people, the way you are enjoying, and then you telling me that you fear to talk to your parents. So let's go to the drawing table, be honest with ourselves, if we want to succeed. Because the moment we don't become ourselves, we might miss an opportunity of protecting ourselves. Because the moment you get pregnant now, you're going to lose some other will possible, but then you stay home nursing kids. Also being a parent when you have not planned for it. So as the young people here present, you've gotten the opportunity to have access to information. So you need to use that opportunity to artists preach to other young people. Jesus had 11 disciples. 12, yeah. I'm becoming old. So now we have 2 billion Christians, more than 2 billion. So for you, you are more than 12. So why is it that we are seeing new HIV infections, the increasing the rate there? 2, the teen pregnancies and unplanned pregnancies. It's because you are not preaching the right message. So whenever there's a parallel saying that when you feel like wanting sex, or whenever you feel like wanting it, first take it in your bag. When in your pocket you have to go. When uzajya wumva ufite ubushyuhe, uzajya ubanga wikoreye wumve niba ufite so that you can be able to have a generation that can, because the one is planning to be a middle-income country in 2025. So we want to be able to achieve that if we have lots of single parents who are unemployed because they never used a condom to avoid unwanted pregnancies, and also if unprotected sex, there is also other STIs. So let's have you as the disciples, hoping that in the next year we are going to have around 2 million young people who are well conversant when it comes to sexual reproductive health. So thanks a lot. When I told you that I'm awarding grants, so he told me that that AfriYAN should also get a grant. So on Monday I will send you not money, an application form so that you can use the procedures. Because AfriYAN is a platform that can be able to
Thank you so much. I believe this is also a good opportunity for all of us to be going to take the picture of the day. Yeah, before we close up for the networking in between. Oh, sure.
I want to say something before we close. It's not usual that you get an offer for a grant. As founders, you know how hard it can be, and now we are being offered a proposal to write a grant. And as you know, Doctor has been there for AfriYAN for years, and he recently celebrated his birthday, and I would like for us to sing him happy birthday as a thank you. Not as a thank you, but as an appreciation of you being there for us.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Soft voice.
By the way, we had a birthday gift for him, but again, we've been so. I think we loved ourselves the most on the occasion of the launch of this hub. So we had to hand the medal of mentors to him during the day, not on his birthday, because yeah, we prioritize ourselves the most. So it was on a bigger occasion as well to appreciate you. So consider the medal that we gave you as well as the best gift from AfriYAN for the occasion that you turned 45.
Wow.
Yes. Up, up, up.
Happy birthday to you, dear daughter.
murakoze cyane tugihagaze. I think my colleagues can help me to clear this. Hanyuma tugafata ifoto y'umunsi. Ushobora guhagarara imbere n'inyuma. Intebe ntabwo ziragaragara. So,
please join us for the
please join us. Everybody. Everybody. So we need some people up.
Yes. Okay.
So now mutagomba kugaragara mu ifoto. Sinjye gift.
ntabwo twese kujyamo turi ukuntu twegerana twegerane byatureka hari bamwe bashobora kujya inyuma duhereye kuri abangaba babiri na hariya inyuma muhagarare usa n'abakozi 30
tujya dufite umwanya munini
twaba nk'abakozi 30 kugira ngo twegerane twese tujye muri
So if you're international of them, I will say it. So try to make something funny, to make like before Tivuga. Okay?
Murage fotoğrafı.
On 3, 2, 1.
ntabwo nyine waba yashyizemo yatwandika iyo tumenya tureture birabaye.
Urakoze cyane kabisa.